I'm thinking of killing someone, doctor. His words were stark, shocking. I've worked with lots of challenging individuals, but there was something chilling about the way he said it. I asked you to do something, but you didn't do it. That's an interesting segue. Didn't expect him to go there next. I asked you to do something, but you didn't do it. Hang on. Maybe these aren't two disconnected sentences. Maybe they're both about me. I asked you to do something, but you didn't do it. Suddenly, he stands. Instinctively, I stand too. He reaches to pick up the table, and I put my hands down to stop it hitting me in the face. I step back, I pull my alarm, and staff come rushing into the room. I'm Phill. I'm a specialty doctor in Forensic Neurodevelopmental Psychiatry. That's right, I'm a psychiatrist. I have one of those jobs that makes people look at me funny. And if you're worried about whether I'm analyzing you, I am. And it would be fair to say that I have a stressful job. It isn't stressful because of encounters like the one I've just described. Those are thankfully few and far between. It is stressful for all of the reasons that working in the public sector are stressful. Because there's too few staff, there's too much bureaucracy, and there's too many boxes to tick. An overworked and overstretched workforce is given more and more to do. Perhaps you know how it feels. Statistics tell me that lots of people know how it feels. The health and safety executive estimated that in 2017-18, 15.4 million working days were lost to work-related stress. More than 500,000 people missed time from work with work-related stress, anxiety, and depression. But research tells us that the impact of stress goes far further than that. The Mental Health Foundation did research in 2018 which showed that nearly 3/4 of people have felt overwhelmed and unable to cope with the stress in their lives. Of those people, 32% have considered suicide. It would be no exaggeration to say that stress is a modern-day epidemic. But I want us to look again at stress today. Because those figures give us a sense of the morbidity of stress, but I think they actually underestimate the extent of stress. I think that we all experience stress. But actually, I want to suggest to you today that pretty much everything of significance that you have done in life has been on the other side of stress. Exams, job interviews, asking that person you fancy out on a date. All of these things are stressful, aren't they? I got married in this very room, and that was stressful for my wife because she did most of the organizing. But the thing is, we press through the stress to see the success on the other side, don't we? The stress, and the symptoms of stress are actually common to us all. But we don't call them stress, we call them fear. They're mediated by a bit of the brain called the amygdala, the bit of the brain that springs into action when I'm faced with this sudden threat in front of me. It's the bit of the brain that causes your body to get ready to fight or to flight, to run away. Your pulse quickens, your breathing rate goes up, your pupils dilate, your muscles tense, and the blood dissipates from your stomach because there's no point digesting food if you're about to be killed. Now, these things are actually really helpful. They increase your mental acuity, they energize your body, they help your sense of focus, but only when there's something obvious to fight or to flee. When there isn't, they just perpetuate, leaving us feeling tired and worn out. Stress, then, is a signal. It is a signal that something significant is happening, and probably something scary. Only the fear isn't necessarily obvious. Often it's a fear that is deep down inside of us. And to address the stress, we need to find the fear. What is it that scares us? What are we worried about? Maybe we're worried that we're being overlooked. Maybe we're worried that if we don't take on the work, then people will think less of us. Maybe we're worried that we're not loved, or we're not valued, or we're not appreciated, or that we don't have a significant role in the world. We need to address the stress, we need to find the fear. Because there's a third thing that we do when faced with fear, and that's to freeze. And often that's what we do when we feel stressed out. We freeze in the face of it. We feel overwhelmed and unable to do anything. But actually, we'd be better off to fight or to flee. Now, in this situation, to flee is actually fairly straightforward. Because if you work out what it is that you're scared of and you don't really care about it, then you can just walk away from it. Choosing to fight is far harder but far more significant. Choosing to fight is opting to overcome your fear, to use what scares you to enhance your capacity. Deciding that you'll press through the stress into success, that you will reframe your stress as stretch, as a sign that you need to increase your capacity to achieve your goals, to step into the significance that you long for in life. But we choose not to fight because we're scared. We're scared that we will be overwhelmed, that we will be burnt out by the stretch. So how can we survive the stretch? I've got a few principles for you, and I'm going to use this tent to help demonstrate it. I'm using a tent in part because I am inspired by the ancient Hebrew writing that was ascribed to the prophet Isaiah, where it talks about a tent as a picture of our capacity. But also because I want you to remember what to do when you feel too tense. Get it? So this tent is wrapped up tightly in here. So tightly it might not come out. And it's got all of this capacity just waiting to burst out. When we think of this tent, we can see some principles that we need if we're to successfully stretch. The first thing to notice about the tent is the poles. The poles define effectively what is the ceiling of the tent. They set its upper limit. And likewise, if we are to survive the stretch, we need to define the upward goals of our life. We need to know what it is that we are reaching up to. In other words, we need a sense of purpose. Because it is far easier to survive the stretch if we are reaching towards our preferred future instead of reacting to our past. I've seen in my own life the impact of a clearly defined sense of purpose. I've never been much of a fitness buff, as you can probably tell. For most of my 35 years on this earth, I haven't regularly engaged in exercise. But in 2017, I broke my knee playing football. And as part of the rehab process, I had to exercise and exercise and exercise. And now I exercise pretty much every day. And sometimes people ask me, they say, "Hey, Phill, how did you develop an exercise regime in your life?" And the answer isn't very helpful, but it is really clear. I just wanted to walk properly again. And actually, it was really clear. It's not going to help their fitness journey, but it was a clear goal. If you want to survive the stretch, you need a clear sense of purpose. Something that will cause you to keep going even when the odds are against you and even when the going gets tough. So that's the first thing you need. The next thing you need are pegs. Right? We had to take these out in case they flew out and hit someone. But you need pegs. What do pegs do? They hold the tent firmly in the ground. When the storm comes, the pegs keep it grounded. What is it that keeps us grounded? It's actually our principles. Because whereas our purpose is a sense of what we hope to achieve, our principles are a sense of who we are. But sometimes in life, we think that we can only achieve success when we have certain things, when we have enough time or enough energy or enough money. But actually, we are better off not starting with what we have, but who we want to be. Because who we want to be, the principles that define us will determine what we do. And what we do will determine what we get out of life. And instead of saying, well, I will wait until I have this, we should say, because I am this person, because of this is what I value, I will move forward in this way. The third lesson that we can learn from the tent is about these. It's about guy ropes. These are the things that help the tent to stretch and that hold it. What is it that these represent in our lives? Well, they represent connection. They represent our peer support. And the science, it's the benefit of peer support is overwhelming. Our instinctive human reaction to fear is to reach out for support. And actually, your body includes an inbuilt stress hormone that helps to mediate the effects of stress, helps to negate the negative effects of stress, and it is enhanced and prompts social interaction. But it is not just about having people in your world, it is about having the right people in your world. Because you will become like the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So we need mentors and coaches who can guide us, but we also need positive peers who will help us to see the positives in our difficult circumstances, who provide emotional support that helps us to survive. Even if they don't have the solutions, they can still provide us with support. So we need a sense of purpose. We need a sense of our principles, and we need positive peers. And finally, to survive the stretch, we need to pause. Because that's why you put up a tent, right? That's why you go camping, to get away from it all. Or so I hear. I don't go camping. I only bought this for today. But actually, you need to put all these things together by taking 5 minutes out somewhere in your day to reflect every day. Don't let the stress set your goals for the day. Don't let it set whether or not the day was a success or not. Sit back, pause, and reflect each day on those other 3 areas. I believe that stress can be your superpower, but we've got to reframe our stress as stretch if we are to achieve success. Thank you.